My name is Emma Balder, and my work is at the intersection of painting and textiles. So I manipulate paintings like fabric and fibers like paint. So what that looks like is I create these large abstract paintings on canvas and then cut them up and rearrange the pieces and sew them together and incorporate textile waste into them, essentially creating these quilted paintings or these sculptural paintings that I call pinglets. And then I also manipulate the smallest bits of textile waste like paint. So I push and pull them on the paper or the panel, and I am literally painting with the fibers with a paintbrush and sometimes tweezers and painter's medium. I was doing a year-long residency fellowship at the Vermont Studio Center. At the time, we would have 60 artists and writers come in from all over the world, and I started noticing all the waste that they were creating, and it really bothered me, but I also saw beauty in it, so I wanted to incorporate it into my work. And that ranged from full sheets of watercolor paper to tubes of paint or a lot of textile waste. I started incorporating some of that into my work and experimenting with textiles and cutting out my paintings because I was a little unsatisfied with the rectangular canvas, and I just started experimenting. I used textile waste from makers and designers from all over the world, as well as donated fabric remnants, and I also find textile waste on my hikes and my walks in various landscapes. I wanted to create this collaborative project, which is funded in part by the City of Houston through the Houston Arts Alliance, to bring in textiles with stories, to bring in textiles from the Houston community and members of the community here to incorporate into my work, to have a more direct experience of those stories. I had 22 members of the Houston community come into my studio here at Box 13 in March. I had them each bring in a textile from their home that had meaning to them, but that they were willing to part with.
So I brought a plain black tank top.
It was one of the first things I ever knit when I was in grad school in Alaska.
I brought a piece of rope.
It's my uncle's sweater.
They each shared their story of what this textile meant for them.
Me and one of my best friends walked down to the mall and I got this hoodie.
Which was so profound.
For 11 or 12 years, it's been my go-to piece of clothing. I love this thing. I've been all over the world wearing this hoodie.
And I was knitting it just from scraps that my mother had given to me.
Some of my dad's t-shirts.
This is a celebration of the fact that now masks are optional.
They shared these stories and were so vulnerable in this space.
I've probably fallen in love in this hoodie and had my heart broken in this hoodie.
It's getting a new life as something other than a requirement.
It represents how I've grown into loving myself.
So I think it's time to say goodbye to my hoodie.
And so when I heard about the project, I thought this is a good example of me doing something constructive and then being able to let go.
After sharing the stories, we had a moment of gratitude for the textile. Then they cut it up and helped sew it into the work. The title is called Seed of Kindred Souls because I wanted to create this seed, this platform for a community and for people to come together and grow together and reveal their humanity. In sharing these stories with each other, people were really able to show their true humanity. It was really powerful and profound. The connections that were made and the way that we were all really able to see each other in sharing these stories and sharing our vulnerabilities. It was really powerful. I want the viewer to look up because I think that we spend way too much time looking down. We look down at our devices and we don't look at each other's faces. We rarely meet eyes with each other. And by looking up, we're looking at these textiles and we're looking at the souls of one another.